Okay, we are recording. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our monthly IPM webinar series. You can see who is IPM on that slide. I'm not going through that. I'm going to let you read through it if you want to. Hello, I'm your host. I'm Nadège Minois, Project Communication Specialist, and it is my pleasure today to introduce our speaker, Antonio Nieto-Rodriguez. And I'm very glad to have Antonio with us today. So I'm going to stop sharing this thing to introduce Antonio properly, and I'm going to tell you very quickly, who is Antonio? So Antonio is actually the author of the Harvard Business Review Project Management Handbook, which is the featured HBR article, The Project Economist Has Arrived, and 5 other books. Antonio is a creator of concepts such as the project economy and the most published author of project management article in Harvard Business Review. Is a fellow and former chairman of PMI. He created the Bright Light Initiative, founded Projects & Co. and AI Predictor, and co-founded the Strategy Implementation Institute. Antonio was born in Madrid, in Spain, and educated in Germany, Mexico, Italy, the USA, and is fluent in 5 languages. He has an MBA from London Business School and is a member of the Marshall Goldsmith 100 Coaches. So you can follow Antonio through his LinkedIn newsletter, and we can give you the link in that, which is called Lead Project Successfully. And he also has some popular online courses, and you can also check his website. Okay, so I'm going to stop here for introducing Antonio, and now I will just give you the stage, Antonio. So if you have a presentation to share, please do share with us, and welcome.
Thank you, Nadège, for that really nice introduction. And thank you for the invitation to speak at your webinar. It's always a pleasure to spend a bit of time with people who are passionate around our profession, and we want to do better and better. So I put a few slides together around how AI is disrupting project management. When I was doing this presentation, like I started 1 year ago, a bit more, 1 year and a half, I was calling it how AI will disrupt. And now I changed the title to is disrupting, because it's disrupting and it's happening as we speak. So I'll speak for about 30 minutes and we'll have about 10, 15 minutes for Q&A. I'll go quick, but before that, before going into AI, I want to set the scene. So AI is another technology, it's a disruptive technology, but there's other aspects that it's still a tool, right? We still need to improve how we do projects. We need to evolve how we do projects. The world is changing very fast. So there's a lot of disruption beyond AI that I wanted to just set a bit the scene. It's part of the work I've been writing about in HBR. And I think it's always good to set up the scene. So my background already covered extensively by Nadia. Thank you for that. So let me start with a concept I introduced about 5 years ago called the project economy. So what does it mean, the project economy? Every business has 2 sides of the business. One is running the business, BIU, business as usual, operations, daily activities. That's the blue part. This is just one company. So imagine one company, how the evolution of the time dedicated, the employees working on the blue side, you can see there a big part. And then there's the change, the transformation, the projects, and so on. So you can see that 50 years ago, this is based on historical data. It's not just a slide that I made up. And it shows that over the year, gradually, we've seen that there's a big improvement in the way we, efficiency gains, right? So It's been always a big focus. How can we do the operations with less people, more automated, uh, faster, more volumes? And we've achieved that with all the inventions that you see, total quality management, Six Sigma. You have also ERPs, outsourcing, you outsource part of your operation. So we've managed that. Today, there's more people working part-time projects than 5 years ago. And the trend continues, right? And this is one of our challenges for us, is that most of the projects that we need to carry, they are just with part-time people who have also a priority or focus on the day-to-day activities. They have a role. So I'm sure you can recognize that tension that we need to work constantly with that. So that's until a few years ago. And just a couple of years ago, the trend changed radically. So it's not happening yet in every industry, but in some it's happening. So when artificial intelligence robots are cheap to put in place, I mean, you can buy 1,000 robots and put them somewhere in your operations to do your, I don't know, your logistics or your supply chain. I work with a fashion French company, and we're thinking putting robots maybe in the hairdressers. And so, yeah, there's no limit where you can think about putting robots in your operational activity. So when this happens, when you can buy 1,000 robots and put them in place in a matter of weeks, then there's a big chunk of operations that disappear. It's not gradually over 10 years, 50 years. No, this happens in a question of months. I worked for 7 years in a French bank, BNP Paribas, and today in a bank, there's more IT people working there than bankers, right? You have more IT people. Operations in a bank is done by automation. It's all IT. So today in a bank, in most banks, most people work project-based, agile teams, product development teams. So it's not the usual hierarchical operational functions. They have disappeared. So this is happening progressively in every industry. And when I share this slide, I do workshop with senior leaders, often colleagues in the profession. They ask me, oh, can you help me to sell the idea of project management to my leadership? So I show this slide to the CEOs and the C-suite, and they tell me, Antonio, your slide is wrong. I said, what? Yes, the blue line should not stop at 20%. It should go to 0. I don't want anybody working in operations. Everybody needs to work in projects, in innovation, in business development. What's the added value people do in operational activities? Nothing, 0. So I'm not saying this will happen, but you can see where kind of some people are thinking at the top. And what you see, that big red yellow space, that's the project economy. The future of work is not whether you work from home, from Spain, my country, or from the office. That's superficial discussion. The real discussion is that the way work is changing is from routine type of work to project-based. We understand that, but that the change is much bigger than that, right? So, and what are some of the disruptions? So the role of the chief operating officer, if you know anyone, tell them to update their CVs because we'll not need them anymore. I think job descriptions, if your company has job descriptions, you can cancel them directly. They're useless. They're things from the past. They're just blocking you from moving forward. So I wrote an HBR article on most of the time, my way of influencing thought leadership is if I have an idea I need to publish in HBR, I think at least for the audience I'm trying to target, which are the senior leaders, it's always I need to publish. So I publish on the CEO or chief project officer, the job descriptions. The PMO has to change. The PMO was a body in a company that had mostly operations and some projects. Today, we say 80% of the work are projects. The PMO has to change radically, right? If you're trying to do resource allocation today in this space, it's impossible. If you're trying to do resource allocation between projects and operations, it's a nightmare. It's a concept for the past. You can do resource allocation for a factory or an hospital, yeah, but not for a business that is constantly changing. One of the most important skills that's missing today in leadership is prioritization, right? This is, I'm sure it's a topic that you recognize, and leaders are not used to. And the problem is that today, you don't prioritize 10 projects like we were doing 10, 20 years ago. And we were using the Eisenhower matrix and all these portfolio tools that we used to have in the past. Today's companies are struggling to prioritize 1,000 projects or 2,000. How do you do that, right? Working with another big energy company, and the chief transformation officer calls me very proud, say, Antonio, we've done an amazing work. We prioritize our projects. We have 1,200 strategic initiatives. I said, what? 1,000 strategic. So I don't want to know how many other projects you have, but must be around the 45,000. But Tom, tell me, I just need 3 priorities, 5 strategic transformation. That's all. That's what your people want to know. Don't tell me 1,200 because we have a big problem. Project managers, the third point, we need to evolve a bit. We need to still focus on the triple constraint, but I think the real value that we bring is when we start thinking about the benefits, right? When we talk benefits, when we focus on benefits and we try to accelerate benefits. Project managers, the methodology has been also a big disaster. This battle between Agile and Waterfall has been really bad for the profession. We need both, actually, and we need more. So, and then the competencies, it's not just us who become better, is that everybody working together with you, they don't know how to run a project. They don't even understand what is a project, right? So this is where we need to act more as an ambassador and coaches for colleagues, not just doing projects, but the role becomes much bigger. Recently, a company that I trained some of their project leaders and PMO, they told me, Antonio, can you train also 4,000 people? Because we noticed that everybody in this company is working in projects. So yeah, this is the reality, right? So then we have on the left the issue of the failure rate, which is a bit subjective, but overall 60 to 70% of the projects fail. So we need to improve that. We also know why projects fail. It's not just about the project that is not well defined or scope or schedule. That's about 50% of the reasons why projects fail. So we know today that you can have the perfect project plan and everything like perfect, and you run it in a company, is going to fail 100% for sure, right? Because we need leadership engagement, prioritization, executive sponsorship, and then the culture, the hierarchy, all these things matter. So we need to address those things. Yeah, we've been focusing too much on the bottom, on the center, but we've not moved on the success rates. When I teach, I say, you need to learn the 3 things. Yeah, you need to know how to influence your culture, your organization. You need to learn how to manage your sponsor. So there's a lot of things that we can do. The other big change is also working on benefits, right? So every project has the one on the left, the Gantt chart, but this is a bit your internal kitchen. You should not be showing your Gantt chart to all your stakeholders. They don't really care. What you need to have is a benefit plan with milestones, with quantity. So this is something that we're very weak at. So every project should have a benefit plan. That's what we use to communicate, to talk, to engage, but we are a bit far. I have a model and a framework and a tool, or not tool, an approach which helps you to do that. And then the campus is about simplification in one page. So we need to simplify what we do. And the last piece is the methods. Now we need to have one standard methodology. Doesn't work anymore. We need to have not just Agile and Scrum and Waterfall, but even more change management, lean startup. So we need to expand our implementation tool set, right? So that's the other big thing that it's happening. So we talk about hybrid, and I did some research that you can download for free to see that actually about 80% of the more than 1,000 people who replied to this survey were already using Agile, well, hybrid. But then you ask, what's hybrid? And they say, well, we just kind of mix everything, right? So there's not really yet a structured approach to hybrid. That's something that I'm trying to think about that. And now we go into the actual piece of AI. No? So this was probably the biggest bomb that we got in PMI a few years ago. I was still in the board of PMI, and we saw the Gartner prediction. About 80% of what we do will disappear, will be eliminated. That's a lot. It was a bit scary. And I think it just was something that we needed, because imagine we lose 4 out of 5 days by machines. What do we do with these all 4 days? Are we going to get unemployed? Or so I don't think that is maybe that number, but there's at least 50% of what we do. And if we're honest to ourselves, yeah, we do a lot of administrative tasks. I don't know, I guess chasing people for data, making reports, spending a couple of days doing reports. All these things are really what's our added value, not really much, right? So I'm really happy that this is happening. So there's 6 aspects I want to highlight. Some of them are already happening, some others are in just development, but I think this is something that we need to keep in mind when we go a bit deeper into AI. For me, one thing that bothers me a lot is as a profession, our key priority is always driving change in organizations. But actually, as a profession, we are not very, we're rather risk averse, and we don't like to change the profession. Yeah. We don't embrace technology. We're still using a software 40 years old, which is the MS project based on Excel. And how come we've not embraced technology much more? Why are we afraid of changing our profession? I do a lot of debate in my LinkedIn newsletters, and I say we need to change, we need to embrace AI, we need to adopt a hybrid method. Some of the concepts like the triple constraints, we need to adjust. And you cannot imagine how many fights I get into because some people say, no, what we did is great 50 years ago, we need to keep doing it. So I'm just worried that we have that risk averse, again, change in a profession. So I want to encourage everybody to take risks, and this is where we bring more added value anyway. So 6 areas. I was talking about the importance of prioritization, and not just 10 projects, but 1,000. So we need tools. We need clarity on. We need to start using some of the tools. I'm going to talk about that. The PMO, of course, if you've been working in PMO, I worked for many years. It's a lot of admin, so the more we can automate there, the better. The bigger part in projects is the scoping, the planning, and that's where we need also to use technology and AI. Virtual project assistance, I think that's where I guess most of us are already experiences, the ChatGPTs and the testing and the role for the project manager. So I'm going to deep dive briefly. I'll show you a couple of tools so that we can see what's going on in these spaces. So I think one of the challenges is this process of project selection and prioritization is very time consuming, requires a lot of data collection, and yeah, it can take a few months before we decide to launch a new project, and we don't have clarity on how we prioritize. It's just very, very cumbersome. It's just I've seen very few companies who can give me the top 10 and prioritize projects or transformation. So I think that's where we need some AI. And personally, this is a topic as I've been working on portfolio management for many years, that I've invested some time researching. I contacted a professor in Canada who knows project management and computer science, and we developed machine learning algorithm. So I have a small demo to show you how it looks like this algorithm. So I will play it. You'll hear my voice as well. So I'll leave it play. But this machine learning algorithm is something that has been already
based predictor tool for project selection. So the model is here. We look into 93 criteria per project based on the project canvas dimensions. So you have around, is your project aligned with your strategy? Have we identified the benefits, stakeholders, risks, costs, and so on. So this is the open template. I have here a list of projects, around 30, which we all know, Concord, Google Glass, for which we have analyzed all this data. I will put it on the test template. Here we are. I save it. And from here, we just go to the tool and we're going to, has been trained already, so I want that tool to predict, AI tool. Basically, we'll take the spreadsheet, we put the test, we launch it. It's going to start importing all the data for all these, I think we're 15 projects. Once it's uploaded, I go to perform prediction. And basically you see here that the tool has predicted the chances of success of the Concorde with the data we had really low. Yeah, failure. Google Glass, very low. Burj Khalifa, it's going to be a success because it has been very well defined. Apple Park, Beijing National Stadium, also really high. So we could export this, and then you imagine we have here about 15 or 20 projects. The AI predictor tool has told us which one is going to be the most successful. So that's all. I hope you liked.
And this is a bit like the outcome that you get. So you can see prioritize based on success probability. The algorithm has been trained with 100 projects at the beginning. It was really a lot of work. I didn't think that AI would take so much time getting good data, but you don't need to be blocked by the data part. So I think the data takes time, but you need to go through it. And then once you have that, the algorithm trains itself, adjusts the weights, and now it has more than 500 case studies or projects, and it gets better in the prediction. It's not going to tell you what you need to do, but at least you can have a prioritized list. When you have discussions at a portfolio meeting or investment committee, you can have the point of view of the AI. There's still biases from our perspective, but there's biases from AI. So it's just having the technology to help us do our job. So it's just something that I think we'll see more and more. And this is something that some companies have asked me to create their own AI model for them using this algorithm that has been trained. So that is something that we'll see and is starting to be developed. The project management office, obviously, I think if you work on this space, you know how much time we dedicate to making reports. And so I think here there's no doubt. I still have not seen solid tools. I've seen some simple reporting tools based on big data, but it's still not the PPM tools, the project portfolio management, the Primavera, the PAMUs, and Planisware, and so on, the Monday, of course. So these are the tools that are coming into the space to help us to have better reporting, more automated reporting. I think they can go to the step further, saying for that digital transformation, for this work stream, you should be using more Scrum, and that one maybe use Lean Six Sigma, and that one, let's plan the whole program using waterfall. So the methodology approaches can be also included in the use of AI. I think you can do that today also with ChatGPT. You can ask what's the best approach for different pieces of my project. So that is important. Then, as you know, you're all experts in this field. So definition, scoping, planning, the scheduling, this is where we usually spend a lot of time. About 30% they say that you should be spending in a project. So in a year, maybe 3 months in a year project. So it's important, it's the foundation. So I'm not saying this is not something that we don't need to spend the time, but it's still very, very manual. I just saw yesterday a research comparing ChatGPT with a person, a project manager, and doing a project charter, and you could see that the human person is still adding more, but the use of ChatGPT was bringing quite some speed and time gains. And here, there's a few tools. The one I know best is called Opfolio. This is a tool that's was developed in France and is being used. The founder was one of my students in one master, and I have a small video as well here to show you how it looks like. So this is a real demo. This is not being manipulated, or you can see the speed of getting. It's based on thousands of WBS and big data and okay. So if you're thinking about building a new factory or infrastructure, then this is something that you can explore. I think this you can reach me and I can put in touch. But this is things that are available, so we don't need to wait and until something comes. Then you have the virtual assistant. Now everything has moved into ChatGPT, the GPTs. Ricardo Vargas, who was also chairman of PMI, and I were doing a lot on AI. And we created this PM Auto, who's also with his knowledge, my knowledge, and other material. But PMI has Infinity, and there's a lot just using ChatGPT or Gemini, or it's something that we do on a regular daily basis. The same caution always: never confidential information, never company documents, the things that privacy, IP, you need to take it, but that should not block us of using it. And for me, this is one of the best knowledge, lessons learned kind of things that you can go now, and it's just how much insight you get. And then the testing for some type of projects, testing is crucial, also time consuming. From infrastructure to software, that's where we spent also quite some time. This is an area which is quite also advanced, and you have some softwares, AI, that are already being used. So this is a space again that you should not wait if you're this one was funny. I saw this application, XCI, is very strong on visual inspection with AI, and they were checking these croissants. They have this system to tell you if the croissant is burned, that one, or not burned. So it's just all this technology that they have different ways. They have lots. I'd recommend to check the website if you are interested or something related. And then just kind of almost final points, but project manager is not going away. This is the good news. That's why I also wanted to start with the bigger picture. We're moving into a world which projects become the norm. My new book that I'm writing now for HBR is about that project-driven organization. Is how can we increase the flexibility? How can we become more agile? How can we put projects at the core? No transformation at the core. Transformations 10 years ago were temporary. Now transformations are the core of many businesses. So we just need to change. I think that we need to move out from the things that maybe we feel more comfortable with doing planning and scoping and WBS to people and benefits and stakeholders. And I think in the end, that's where we bring more value. That's where we will be more appreciated. Our role will just go up in some big steps higher to more leadership, executive position, than purely doing the more traditional type of work. So, but the other thing, last point, AI technology that I've been showing, you cannot outsource. You cannot say, I have the AI expert in my team, I don't know anything about it. No, this is a core tool that we need to embed in our own experience, in our own managing or leading projects, transformation. So we might not need to be the super expert, but it's something that we need to embrace and feel comfortable. And if you look at the kind of end-to-end value chain, project chain, life cycle, this is a bit of a summary of where AI is impacting. So the blue is where if you're in that space and you want AI, it's available. Machine learning, I told about Portfolio, there's Scope Masters, there's a few ones. Big data, the planning as well. You can see that. Early developments is partly what I'm doing with the professor from Canada, the AI predictor. There's a bit more on that. And the bots, I think that is early developments, still room for improvement. And the thing that I still don't see is the automation, where it's like a GPS, right? So it's like, okay, your project, Antonio, is going off track and you need to do that and that and that. Actually, I do it for you. right? So you just take care of talking to your stakeholders. We're not there. I wrote one article about self-driving projects. So yeah, it's something I think we need to think more and practice more. And just almost to finish a couple of slides. So what I tell you, I think it's really necessary, the AI piece, but we don't need to, we cannot trust it. So that's what I say in this slide. At the beginning, when we're going to use AI, we count our experience, the type of questions, the type of problem we want to understand, the type of task that we want the tool to do. Now it's all about agents and trying to understand what it means, but can we use them? Then you let the machine do the work, which is a lot of time saving. I use AI all the time, every day. But then you need to check, right? That's where you need to play another critical role and send it back and say, this is not what I want, or the reference that you're putting is not correct, or you're making up the data, or you're making up the case study. So go back. And so you are still responsible. You're still the accountable person of whatever AI does. So that's something that is a very important frame to keep in mind. And then I always like to think a bit beyond. So we are 100% focused on AI. And I think the world, not just us, is looking into AI. The business are working on AI. But I think there's more. So we need to also think about these type of other technologies. I'm very keen in learning about robots. And what will be project management when 2 out of 5 team members in the project who are robots, from the Tesla robots, or how would the team meeting work with robots and people at the same time? I don't know. I mean, these are questions that I make myself just to start to think and explore, but I just don't know. I know when robots were introduced in operations, it was not easy. It was dangerous. Yeah, and it took time. And so what we'll see robots in our projects. If you do a project in this barista place in Brooklyn, what will the robots, how do they use to train them? So I don't know. I just like to reflect about the future. And this one is something that, this one is another one which is very nice, is the avatar. So these rooms and teams, and they say that soon we'll have 3-4 people like us, avatars, thinking like Antonio and looking like Antonio and looking like Nadej and looking like all of you, 3-4, and you will send them like agents to one will be in that project, the other one in the steering committee. So, and then imagine you're the project manager, you're running a project team meeting, and you have 8 people, and they're all avatars. So, how do we run a meeting or a skill call with avatars? I have no clue, right? What do we need to do? I just don't know. I think the concept is great. We can be so extremely productive, but I just don't know. I think we need to try it. We need to test it. We need to change how we do projects. So another Neuralink. So what will happen now? I think, of course, this is very far, the focus of Neuralink, and so it's for people who have these handicaps, so it won't happen. But maybe in 20 years, maybe there will be people with Neuralinks, and I don't know, maybe a Neuralink for project. I just don't know, but this is things that are technologies that are close to what we're talking, but are adjacent. And the whole meta, there was a big kind of fashion or hot topic a few years ago. It just went down with the ChatGPT in OpenAI 2 years ago, but it's still evolving. So can we run projects in the meta world, and how will it look like? And can we do this digital twin approach? We run it in the meta world and we see what goes wrong, and then we can do it in live. So maybe, so I think, I don't know, I'm not telling you need to explore all these, but I like that we keep an eye on what's going around. Yeah, and how it's going to impact our roles, our profession. But it's just very exciting. I think it's really exciting times. for us, and I'm just super excited. I can't wait to start seeing this in practice and happening and how we can do better. And I think that was the last one. I think one key message just to finish is knowing today is not enough, and we need to take action. I think we are a profession that we tend to wait until everything is settled and is perfect and we have the solution so that everybody uses. And now that is not the case, right? We cannot wait. We need to take action every day. We need to learn more frequent than in the past. In the past, a few years ago only, you would choose one thing that you wanted to learn in the year. And then after the year, you see how I improve that. Today, no, it's every month you need to do. Every week, you need to put a couple of hours on learning. That will make you really strong in this new era of transformation. And Aja, this is, if you're interested in AI, we have Ricardo Vargas and I, we have this masterclass, but we have also a free webinar. Today we have a webinar free. Ricardo and I, we meet and we talk. We have an APMG certification. So if you want to explore a bit more, you can find that on the internet. And that's all. Thank you. I hope you got some ideas and it helped you to look at the world with different eyes and very optimistic, at least from my perspective.
Thank you very much, Antonio, for this very engaging and insightful. I've learned a lot, really, presentation. That was really, really nice. So we have a few questions. So
Okay.
I'm going back. So the first one was about tools, and I think you've presented us a lot of tools, so I think you have answered that question. One question we had was actually about the AI predictor that you showed at the beginning. Someone wanted to know what machine learning models you are using in it, and if this model was reflective for all industries. So actually, that's two questions here in one.
Yeah, two questions. So I don't really know the model. I think this is something that the PhD in computer science, Paul, developed. I know there's different layers, and so it's kind of deep learning. That's what I understand. And it's for every industry. So it just industry kind of, when you can use it for anything. What surprised me in the process was the amount of criteria. Yeah, I like to simplify. I have a project canvas, which is just 14 dimensions. He said that's not going to be enough to make this machine to learn. This algorithm needs a lot of criteria. And that's what I really was surprised how much criteria you need so that the model starts learning. But in principle, it's for every industry. What a few companies have asked is, can we make it for the luxury company? So yes, we can twist a few of the criteria. But overall, if anyone wants more information, you can see it on my website and you can run it. You can do it for free once. So if you want to test it with one of your projects, that is available.
Thank you very much. Another question was about, in a way, where to stop with the use of AI, because obviously, you showed us how powerful it can be and what you can be, but basically, when you decide to basically take over as a human for the kind of final decision making, so what would you advise on that?
I think that's a very, very good question, because we all, like I was saying, we need to be careful with this tool, especially when you have confidential information, company. So I think you need to start assessing that even before you use these tools, right? So I'm not going to share any private documents from my company, IP. So having that kind of assessment before using, that's the limitations. That's for me a no place that you cannot try, not even try, because it's funny, HBR, when I signed the contract with them for the new book, they told me you're not allowed. There was a new clause, not allowed to put any any of the book into a GPT or anything, right? Because they know that once it's there, it's a black box and it becomes like so. Yeah, be careful on how you use it. Yeah, don't use it. And I'm insisting you need to use it. I pray to use it, but be careful on what you try.
Thank
Especially
you.
that's for me the bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's right. And then I'll finish with two questions. So one is, what types of AI might have the greatest impact on project management? Because you've shown the various aspects on which AI can impact project management, but what types of AI might have the greatest impact?
I think what we're seeing now in the last 2 years, we've seen that focus on the scoping, on the planning. I think that helps a lot. But for me, the bigger impact will be when you can use AI like a GPS, so for your project. So the smart tool that will tell you, Antonio, your project is on track, and I take decisions for you. When AI will take the decisions that we do, make sure that they kind of converge to make your project successful. That's for me the bigger impact. I always connect our work to impact and value. Not so much the time, of course, for budget is important, but we do projects for having benefits, and that's I think where we will see the bigger impact when we have that type of automation.
Thank you very much. And a last question, which was, so going back to the graphs you were showing us, was basically businesses kind of needing to go to a lot bigger proportion of projects compared to operations, and basically in a kind of ideal world going to full project and almost no operation. And so we've got a comment and question here. So as for the perspective, it is correct that operation does not matter more in the future, but the project. But how the evolving businesses can relate to that?
Yeah. I think that's a very kind of visionary discussion. And this is what I'm trying to figure out with this book is how are we moving from the traditional organization, which is hierarchical, departmental, business unit based, to something different, right? Models where you're working without hierarchy. I've seen companies in the research team that, they don't have hierarchy. So it's very, very flat. People behave more like entrepreneurs. So I think this is something that is still being defined. If you want a nice case study, Haier is a Chinese company who does all these electrodomestics, and they are really good in terms of that new kind of concept where there is no middle management, there is just the executives, and you can be a CEO if you want of an idea. So this is a model I'm looking very much project driven, right? Where operations becomes a bit more like a shared service center. Yeah, and the projects become the central core. So when I know more, I let you know. I'm trying to figure this out, but this is something that it's very fascinating because it has huge impact and good impact for us.
Thank you. So in that case, we're looking forward to your latest book when it is published to know more. Thank you very much. And basically, for me, my last insight is from all what you've told us, it's that the work begins with us as project managers, because something I found very insightful is what you said is your experience of many project managers. As project managers, we are responsible for driving change, and we're always talking to our stakeholders about embracing change and how change will be great for the organization and all that thing. But your insight to say actually a lot of project managers themselves are not ready to change how they manage project and the basics of that. So basically, to me, is as project managers, we need to be the first to be able to embrace change, to embrace that the AI technology is here, and if we use it well, it will make our work a lot better, basically.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Antonio. I know that your time is very tight, so we're going to wrap up now here and to close this session here. Thank you, Antonio, again for this very engaging and insightful presentation. Thank you to you all for attending today and for engaging in the chat. And so we'll see you in our next MAI IPM monthly webinar at the end of January. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Take care. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you to everyone
Bye-bye.
too. Bye, Antonio. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye, man.